Hey everybody, welcome. We want to say we're excited to be partnering with you guys in the great state of Idaho. My name is Lori Lynch, and I am the Vice President of Professional Development here at Istation. And we are broadcasting live today for several of you that are interested in the technology platform of Istation and learning how to get everything installed, all the rosters to be imported, and you are in the right place for that. So we're going to be covering all that and then some today, and encouraging you to ask questions throughout the entire webinar. So when I say the entire webinar, that means that any time throughout the webinar, you are okay to ask a question. Now, we've got you in a listen-only mode, which means that wherever you are, you can make as much noise as you want to. We're not going to hear any of that. And we do that on purpose so that you guys can have conversations going on in the background and chat your questions into us. So as you joined the webinar, you noticed a panel on the screen, either on your right or left-hand side of the screen, and in that panel is a section that says questions. All you have to do is just simply type that question. It's going to come right back here to us, and there are several of us hanging out here in the background that you will hear from some of us today, and some of us will just be anonymous hanging out answering questions. With us today, hanging out in that background, is Robert Rubin, who is our Senior VP of Technology and Business Processes, and Robert is actually one of the original founders of Istation, which is almost 20 years old, starting next year. So we're very excited to have Robert with us to talk about the platform. We will also have Amanda Centorbi, who is a digital specialist here in our PD department, and she is going to be a face you're familiar with, doing a lot of webinars throughout the school year, broadcasting live for various help and coaching through the implementation each month of the school year. And then last but certainly not least, Derek Armesto is hanging out with us, and he is one of our technical support specialists at Istation. So he may be somebody very familiar to you when you call into support, maybe one of the specialists that you talk with as you guys are importing and getting ready to roll. So Derek's going to present a lot of the ins and outs today, but Amanda, myself, and Robert are going to be hanging here to help with any of those questions that come in and for further elaboration. So without further ado, let's move forward and get some more exciting slides here on the screen. So again, we want to welcome you to Istation. This is a really big honor to be partnering with all of you here in this year one pilot. We're very excited to have the opportunity to work with so many schools across the different regions of the state and to learn the different needs that you guys will have by using our assessments. And again, just a great honor to be partnering with you. So this whole first year is going to be a lot of just getting to know each other, getting to know the platform, and building that partnership. So as we launch into the second year with all schools, we'll have a pretty smooth passage of time into the implementation for everyone. So you guys are sort of the pioneers, if you will, and the trendsetters for the state. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Derek and let him lead you through some information, and I'll pipe in and give some information too. He and I will exchange back and forth. And again, please ask those questions at any time. You don't have to wait till the end. You can ask that question now, in the middle, whenever it feels good to ask it, and we will address those questions. So, Derek, let me give you the screen here.
Okay, great.
So you can take that, and we'll see your slides.
Perfect.
Awesome. So like I said, Derek and I are going to kind of go back and forth here a little bit, and then I'll let the technical pieces really be Derek's forte, because that is not my forte. I can teach you all day about Istation, but the tech part, I can get by, but he is your expert. So, so Derek, if you want to move on to your next part here. And
okay,
and I'll talk real quickly about the beginnings of Istation. So that next slide that you have, go ahead and throw that up there. Perfect. So I mentioned just real briefly that we were founded in 1998 as far as our 20 years coming up. So next year we celebrate 20 years. Some of the stats here I wanted to give you some updates on those is that we are a company that is growing. We've been growing so much over the last 20 years, and I have been here 12 of those, and of course Robert being here almost 20. And we are now up to serving about 4.5 million students across the globe. So that does mean across the globe. We have 48 states in the U.S. that are currently using Istation, and there are about 4 different countries outside of the U.S. that are using us in various implementations, either for English immersion or all different kinds of things. We have various different uses. So everybody that you meet here at Istation is going to either be from a educational background or educational technology background. So we really are built for educators by educators. So that's one of the nice pieces. And then Robert and Derek are going to elaborate more on the platform and the foresight that they had back almost 20 years ago to make sure that we are very easy to integrate with any kind of technology across the United States and outside the country, because everybody has different kinds of stuff. Some have really snazzy platforms and up to date on everything, and some are working on little older platforms and have different levels of laptops and iPads and Chromebooks. So let them talk about all of that, and I will stay behind here and answer questions. So Derek, take it away.
Great, thanks, Lori. So again, my name is Derek Armesto, and I work with the Istation support team. What I want to talk about today is the data and technology roles for Istation, and we're going to go straight into it. So there's three simple processes when ensuring a successful integration with our program. We pretty much call them the implementation, the installation, and the import process. Before we get started, let me give you a high-level overview about our technology. Istation was founded in 1998, as Lori said, and to this date, we have about 19 years of optimization in the educational field. Istation was built to perform on older, slower devices and has been optimized for very low bandwidth. I'd like to note that there's really no streaming, and the application needs to be locally installed on the device to be used. The app is a gaming engine that constructs the animation on the fly and can work on cached content. The content is downloaded all at once in the device, and then the rest of the students will work with the content that was downloaded on the previous machine. There's no need for a persistent network connection. However, on the initial login, when authenticating to our servers, there is going to be a need there. And this is due to our app storing content in its folder. So with this said, it's very tolerant to network outages. So you may be wondering, what happens in the event of a power outage? In the event of a power outage or a network outage, on the next startup of Istation on that device used, or when the connection is reestablished, the device will send any missing data to our servers. So Istation, as you may wonder, what devices are we supported on? So we're available on the following platforms: Windows desktop and laptop, Mac, iMacs, MacBooks, Chromebooks, iPads, and Androids. So basically every platform, everything is available. There's not going to be a difference between the Chromebook architecture compared to the Mac or Windows, which is great. So everything is going to look the same for every platform, no matter what you choose. So let's walk you through the implementation process. Once we process your license request, we'll set up a domain for your district and schools. A domain is the simple way to identify your district or school in Istation, and it's to ensure our system knows where your students' data should be listed. Once the domain is created, we will email documentation to your district/school key contacts, which is you. The key contacts will be the implementation contact, the technology contact, and then the data contact. An account will be created for each of you, and an email will be sent on with instructions on how to log in for the very first time. Upon logging in for the very first time, you might see the following cards depending on your role. So let's start with the technology contact. In the technology contact card, as you can see in the picture here on your screen, it only displays 3 cards at a time. However, once you have finished a card, it will disappear from the list and a new card will take its place. The idea is as you progress throughout the year, new cards will be assigned to guide you, which provides a more fluid experience. So let's take a look at the tech contact cards in detail. So the tech contact cards, you'll have 3 steps. The first step would be updating your firewall and content filters. And the idea is to allow outbound access to Istation servers. I do want to note this is just specifically outbound access. It's not inbound. And as well, additionally, you will need to supply your external IP range for the district. This is how we ensure the students are logging in for their respective campuses. In other words, we want to make sure that these students are taking the assessment at school, and just in case they're sick, they're not taking it outside of school. And we'll go over this process now. So I have a brief little video here, and I want to kind of guide you through it. And this is how you actually set public IP ranges. So when you sign in for the very first time, you're going to be greeted on the home page. and then you'll see these cards here. So we'll click the card, and on there, you'll click Take Me There, as you see in the video right here. And then it'll be kicked to the Entry and IP Ranges page. So for the first time, you can take a tour. You can choose to take the tour later if you prefer, but I would recommend on the first time, since it's your first time navigating the website, it's in your best interest. So we're going to click Start Tour. And if you're unsure what your IP range is, of which more than likely you won't, but for smaller districts or schools they may not, you can go to whatismyipaddress.com. So we're going to add the IP ranges here as seen on the screen. We're going to end the tour now. And so we're going to start adding them. So we do have the option of adding a block or just a range. An example, 199.227.38.112 we are example today. Again, these are external IP ranges and not internal. We'll need the external ones. And after you've done, just click Add IP Range and it'll update. So on there, I do want to note, once we have added the IP range, that you are able to see who it was set by, which is a great feature that we added recently. Now, setting an IP range at the district level will propagate to the campuses, meaning that you don't need to go campus by campus to actually add the IP ranges. If you simply place it at the district level, it will propagate accordingly. Moving along to the installation process. So the installation process, you'll start by going to www.istation.com and selecting the services and support. I've actually made a little video here just to show it. So we're on the Istation website right now, and this is the normal landing screen. Click Services and Support. Once you click this will be the next screen, and you're going to see 3 different tabs: Download Istation, Technical Information, and Integration and Certifications. So you may be wondering what our specifications or just normal minimum requirements for Istation. So we actually have them listed on this page right now. Again, this is www.istation.com/support. Now I'm going to go ahead and freeze it right here. So for Windows, we support Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and 10. Now you may be wondering what if I'm running Vista or XP. As currently, we are supporting them up until next year, which is June 2017, I believe, and you'll see that later on in the video. But as well, OS X 10.8 to 10.11, Mac OS 10.12. So, versions for Mac, they can be kind of funky. You're not really sure of the time frame. So 10.8, if I remember correctly, is 2008 and higher, which is Snow Leopard. So as long as your operating system is running that, you should be fine. Memory space, 512, RAM. Hard disk space, we ask 3 gigabytes free. However, once Istation has been fully installed, it runs about 3.78, if I remember correctly. For iPads, iOS 8.0 to 10.0, we ask it's the iPad 2 Plus. iOS 8.0 is considered 2009 and above. So for the Chrome OS architecture, we ask that you have a 32-bit or 64-bit, but preferred, and it doesn't say it on here, with a multiple CPUs. For Android, the minimum system operating is 4.4 or higher. That is a 2008 operating system. And again, 1 GB RAM, which is not, it's very feasible nowadays. And again, internet connection for everything 1.5 and higher. I do want to note for our tablets, since recently we have added Android, we do ask that you have an 8-inch or bigger screen. And the reason why this is recommended is with a bigger screen, it's easier to click things that you would see on your screen, but as well, based on how smaller the screen, the icons have to decrease in size as well, which might make things a little bit less clickable for the younger students. So as I spoke about earlier, as you can see slightly there at the bottom, Windows XP, we're depreciating operating systems. So the idea is that we're committed to providing the best possible support for our products. We find it necessary to periodically depreciate specific operating systems to continue delivering optimal support to our users. These changes are made based upon the trends in the technology and market. So again, this is not happening immediately. We actually have a date. So Windows XP is set to no longer be supported June 2018. Windows Vista, June 2018. Mac OS X 10.6 2018, along with 10.7 and iOS 7 in 2018. Now let's move on to the process of installation. You'll need a domain name that uniquely identifies your school. So the idea of a domain is it's a scooping usernames. For installing on a small scale though, I'd recommend that you go to our website where you can copy the installer, which I just showed you, onto a flash drive or a network drive. It's very simple and it takes about 60 seconds to install. On a large scale environment, we do have an MSI package that is available to push, and you can also set the script to set the domains. Now, you may be wondering, what is the syntax for the domain? So as an example, the syntax is school.district.state. An example, Whitney.boise.idaho. Whitney Elementary School is part of Boise ISD, so it would be Whitney.boise.idaho. For a district level, the qualifier is admin.boise.idaho. Anytime you see admin, we basically point that as always being a district. So for any of the following advanced options, I encourage that you do reach out to our support directly. For instance, some districts may not allow the individual devices to reach out to the internet. For those cases, we can configure them to use an HTTP proxy instead. This process takes a lot of our protocols and wraps them in a web wrapper and talks to our servers that way. It's a little less efficient, but it's a great workaround for these types of environments. The application will run in a thin client environment if that's the case. So I ask again that you please do reach out to our support if you have any assistance or specifics that you need help with. For frozen environments as well, it is available. I do want to emphasize though that content filters should be allowed for IP ranges, which can be seen in the technical support page, or when the tech contact logs in, one of the cards will actually show you that and it'll take you directly there as well. So one final advanced option, we do have single sign-on. We support SAML and LTI, and last but certainly not least, Clever for both instant login and secure sync. These are available by going, when you log in from your home, to the administration tab and clicking single sign-on settings. This is also the same place as you would see the public IP range. So for data contacts, when you first log in, you're going to see these three cards. Again, based on your role, you're going to see certain cards. And as well, if a person is multiple roles, you might actually see get started data checklist, get started technical contact list, and get started implementation contact. So there are some important one-time steps that are required before starting to upload your student information. For example, once you select your ID, I would ask that you contact us via support@Istation.com, or you can give us a call at the 866-883-7323 number. The idea is that we want to set your ID format, that way we can get you imported, but as well as just to make sure that everyone within the district, whether it be importing through you all or they manually do it, that they follow the formatting that has been set by the district. And last but certainly not least, when is your school rollover date? By default, this is set to August 1st. However, some people, they start in July or they start in September. So I would ask that if it's different from that, that you please contact us as well. So as I was speaking about, the data checklist, it's a student ID format. That's what we ask you to send to us. Again, 7 digits as an example. So we expect 7 digits. So if it doesn't give us 7 digits, it would error out. We can do a number between A and B, like example, 3 to 6 digits. However, we try to keep it as specific as possible. The second step for the data is to export your student rosters from your student information system. A lot of student information systems, an example, Skyward, Metronics, and a few others do have the ability to export it out. So with that said, let's get right into that. So after we had set the rollover date, which I just talked about, you would export them out and you would import, right? So importing we have three ways. We have the one file format, which is our legacy way of importing. We do have the IMS Global One Roster spec, which is open standard, and I would recommend that one as well. And then last, but like I said, there's certainly not least, is the Clever Secure Sync. So we do have extensive online help to help you import your students, and I would like to just to note that if you're importing larger than 30 MB via manually importing on our website, that you would actually need to FTP that to us. The credentials you use on the web are the same credentials on the FTP client. If you do plan or you need to do that, I would ask that you reach out to us. We'll help you with that setup process, and it could take fairly maybe half a day to set up, and then everything will be fine going forward. We also do have flexible column mapping. So what I mean by that is basically when you're mapping our columns on our website, as seen in this video right here, when you're mapping the columns on our website, the idea is that we will attempt to auto map them. So we have a generic format that we use, student ID is to student ID, teacher is to teacher, first name of student is to first name. But in the case that you do not actually map it correctly, you do have the option of mapping it in a different way, and that's what we're doing right now. So this is importing through our one file format. I do want to pause it here briefly. So we have four types of format. We do have the one file, the teacher manager, the DMOG, and the one roster. So as you can see here, the one file is a student, teacher, and classroom data. That's basically the teacher manager and the DMOG all in one. That's why we call it one file. And then one roster is the open standard. Now, for Clever Secure Syncs, that's going to be a slightly different process. And again, I would ask that if you do plan on going that route, that you reach out to the support at Istation.com. That way we can work through everything and get everything set up. But I'm going to go ahead and keep this going. So we're going to go ahead and do one file import job. And again, if this is your first time doing it, you can click help with use file type, and it'll actually take you to our data dictionary, of which will explain every field in detail along with the maximum amount of characters allowed. So here we're uploading for a one file manual import for the school year. Again, as I said, we will attempt to check the columns and we'll attempt to map them accordingly. So right here, what we're doing right now is he is going to click upload soon. And he's going to click Intor. So you can download a template CSV if it's your first time, if you do plan on using the one file format. Again, you don't have to, but it really does help. And we're going to go ahead and grab a import right here. So you'd navigate to where it is on your system. You'd click upload, and it would go on there. Now, I do want to note it was in small writing, but it has to be a CSV format. It cannot be an XLSX or just a standard Excel format. So right here on the left-hand side, I want to freeze it. When you upload, the column on the left-hand side shows the import file column headers. That's what we have on the file itself. So in other words, you may put oranges there for the campus ID. However, we just basically need to know that orange is equivalent to the campus ID. So in this example here, some things auto maps, as you can tell, but in the video we're having to remap or map them just due to the formatting being slightly different. So right here we're updating it or matching the formatting. And on the right-hand side, you'll see import file examples. So this is actually based off the first row on your import. And this is an idea, the whole point of it is just to give you examples, just to make sure that you may not remember the column headers, but if we give you an example, it might prompt that memory. So on here, once you're done, you'll actually validate it. And the validation process is to make sure that there's no errors. And if there's no errors as seen on the video, we'll go ahead and process that job. And once that job has been submitted, it'll be submitted into the queue. Normally, beginning of the year jobs can take a bit of time. However, it just really depends on the time that you submit them. Now, I do want to note that once you submit a job, based on your count that you use, you will get a job completion report. If it's checked, by standard it is checked, but if you uncheck it, you wouldn't. But that way you would know when it's actually uploaded, just in case you want to know and you have some other stuff that you need to do. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. If you have any questions or concerns, we're available Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, or from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Our toll-free number, 866-883-7323, or read, and you press 2 for support. You can also email us at support@Istation.com. Simply just subject whatever you need help with, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So again, I thank you all for your time.
All right. Thank you, Derek. And I'm going to take back the screen really quickly. And as Derek mentioned, and I'll put this out there in just a moment, again, the contact information for the support team, as well as our training department. If you're looking to ask specific questions regarding professional development, we can answer some additional questions for you as well. What I want to go live and show some of you is the pieces that Derek was demonstrating, and I want to go live and just kind of give you an idea of what you will see out there. And I think the videos he has in there were really helpful. And let me just give you kind of another shot of some of the opportunities that you'll have. When you log into Istation.com, which is a pretty straightforward web address, and it's going to be available to you, obviously, anywhere you have a great internet connection. What Derek was explaining is that as your role, many of you may have already heard from us at Istation because you have been identified as a particular primary implementation contact or a technical contact or a data contact. And simply by that information being given to Istation, we've already identified your role, and we are providing some of these cards for you. And you see me kind of scrolling across these up at the top. These cards are filled with tasks for you based on your role as identified by your district or by the campus. And so that's a really handy little piece. So for those of you that are your data and technology contacts, these cards that you see up here will be more specific to the types of actions that you would be taking when deploying Istation or importing and exporting of information or importing data into the system for students and teachers to have their credentials for login and password. You may already have received a login and password from Istation so that you can get started on the deployment of the Istation application. So as Derek mentioned, there are many different pieces of or devices that we support, and that's really great because it's very versatile. So with Android tablets, iPads, Chromebooks, laptops, PCs, Mac, whatever you're working off of, we're pretty flexible. And he also mentioned that we are supportive of many different operating systems, some of which are on the lower end, but certainly possibly running in schools across the U.S. We certainly know that and experience that on a regular basis. So we try to stay well prepared to support whatever may be out there in our schools. So again, just note that as you log into our website, many of the tasks that he's covered, you will have these cards with the tasks going through, and they will have tutorials, tours, links to documents and information that will walk you through any kind of installation or exporting, importing process. Now, before you actually log into Istation.com, I'm going to back out for a second and just walk through this process with you quickly. If you have never logged on to Istation.com, you are going to see a screen that looks very much like this when you first arrive there. So if you've gone just by going to Istation.com without doing anything else, this is very likely what you would see when you choose the customer login button. So this is a very simple thing. If you are at maybe at Jones Elementary and a particular district, if you type the word Jones, you're going to see a drop-down menu, and that's going to allow you to select the actual location, or what we call the domain of Istation. So that way we identify that your login credentials are who you are, and you are accessing the information appropriate for your role. So that's one way of getting started and getting logged into Istation. Now, I belong to Istation, so I'm going to, if I spell it correctly, that would be even better. So I'm going to select Istation as my domain and use my appointed login credentials to get into the website. And that's what I was just doing a moment ago when I was referring to these cards across the top. And we start off with just 3, just kind of chunking the information so that you will not be super overwhelmed and that they'll be applicable to what you need in getting started. Now, if you have not logged in to our website yet, and you're just looking for some technical information, Derek did mention this, and I want to just bring it up live, is under the Services and Support tab. When you click here, you have all of the tabs regarding downloading iStation, technical information with regard to IP address range, platform, and I'll show you this live as well. So you'll see that it's all there for you. And again, Derek covered a great deal of this, and just going to that live version so you can see it's there and easily accessible. So the specifications are there no matter what you are using as far as devices. So this will be a great tool for those of you that are working on this and getting it ready. If you weren't aware, there are going to be 6 regional professional development workshops coming up, and they are starting next week. We will be on the ground the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and then again the following week, the 14th, 15th, and 16th in various regions. We've been working with the Department of Education there in Idaho, the State Department, and we've been working directly with Heidi Arate, who has been our main point of contact. And when we leave today, I will contact each of you via email with Heidi's contact information and a quick little sheet that tells you exactly where we're going to be in the coming 2 weeks for those that are coming to those PD sessions. I believe primarily it's going to be like in a more of an instructional coach, district level people, educators that are coming, but certainly check with Heidi on how to register for those. If you have people that are supposed to be attending and have not registered yet, the department there has the links to register for the PD sessions, and then they're letting us know how many folks to expect. So we will be on the ground, and that'll be round 1 of some on-ground support, and we will be coming back before the mid-year again for some additional on-site workshops, again going from each region of the state, and we'll be traveling with the folks from the Department of Education there in Idaho. Another thing to note is that we are not going to abandon you if we're not there on site. We will actually be via webinar. So one of the specialists that's hanging out with me today is Amanda Santorbi, and she's going to be your digital specialist. So you're going to see a lot of Amanda. Each month she'll be putting out live broadcasts, and those will be advertised and shared with all of you that are piloting in this year 1. So anyone can log in and watch these progressive webinars. She'll follow the general implementation of the year, from getting started to basic reporting to additional questions that you may have that are state specific. And we'll be working with you throughout each month of the school year digitally and in live sessions. We typically record our sessions, and we will be able to provide those to the State Department there as well, Department of Ed, and with Heidi and her crew. And if they would like to place it somewhere on your sites, we will make sure that we know exactly where that is and direct traffic to that for the recordings. But there'll also be those live sessions ongoing. So if you're unable to make the live sessions, having an opportunity to see the recording will be awesome. So as we begin to wrap, I want to make sure that we also remind you one more time of how to contact us, because this is very important. When you contact iStation, you are contacting here at our home office, and our home office is in Dallas, Texas. So we are on Central Time. Although we are, like I said, in 48 states across the country, our home base here is Dallas, Texas. So when you're calling us, you're calling our home base here. We have a huge technical support team on call for you. We have a multi-tiered support team. So if it's a basic question, you will have someone there to help you live and in person on the phone and get that answer done. Or if it's something that requires more difficult handling, we do have an elevation process or an escalation process that pushes those needs up the chain to reach the right person for your particular need. So please, please, please know that that is our goal, is to help you along the way. So call us toll free 866-883-READ. That's 7323. You want to press 2 when that opens up the line. Just press 2 for support, and that'll take you to a human being here in our office, which is awesome. If you are unable to call us, email us. Email us at support@Istation.com. They have a pretty quick turnaround as far as email responses. We always say allow 24 to 48 hours, but in all reality, it's actually much sooner than that. So again, go ahead and feel free to email us. If you have a PD-specific question, you can email us at traininginfo@Istation.com, and we will do our best to direct you to what's coming next as far as on-site workshops and webinars for the state of Idaho. And if you are interested, we do encourage you to follow us on social media, because anytime we do releases, updates to our products, just anything in general with regards to additional research that's been published, you can capture that on social media through our blog, through Facebook, and through Twitter. So even on Instagram now, crazy enough. We have a YouTube channel too. So lots of things that you can find out who we are, what we are, and more to come. So we do appreciate your time today. And again, I will be reaching out to you all via email with the contact for your state, with the workshops on site coming soon in the next 2 weeks. And then you'll be hearing from us again with regards to live sessions. This is being recorded today, so I will be providing this to our folks there in Idaho, and so you'll be able to review this information that you've heard today on our webinar. So I think we've had several questions come through. It looks like we've been able to answer all of them so far, which is great. If you have any additional questions, 2 things. We can hang out here for about 5 more minutes, and you can certainly filter in more questions as they come into your brain. And then also, after we all log off today, you're going to get a thank you email for coming on to this webinar, and you can simply respond back to that thank you email and ask additional questions. It's going to come right back here to us, and then we'll be able to get right back to you and get the right person to answer that question for you. So again, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. Have a fabulous rest of your Thursday, and we hope to see you guys real soon. Again, don't hesitate to reach out. That's our role here. We love helping folks. So we'll stay on for a little bit, answer some more questions if you think of anything. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.